Welcome back, TFA Fam. Today we're going to be discussing Devonta Freeman and his signing with the New York Giants and what that means for your fantasy teams. Let's go. Welcome back in. Today we're going to be discussing Devonta Freeman like we mentioned in the open. But before you do, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for all the future content. We have a ton of live streams coming out, whether it's the start, sit show that we're doing where we answer all your questions, or a game day show. If you're into DFS like I am, we also have the DFS show that we do every Thursday. Things are going to be a little different this week. Today, we're going to be doing it Tuesday night for the start sit, and then we're going to do Wednesday for the DFS show. But a lot of great content coming your way along with other videos. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We're trying to win championships around here. Let's go. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Obviously, the biggest news of the weekend was Saquon Barkley going down with a torn ACL. There was a ton of injuries this weekend. Cortland Sutton, Christian McCaffrey's out 4 to 6 weeks. Raheem Mostert's out. It looks like he's going to be out. Jimmy Garoppolo, Drew Lock. I mean, the list goes on and on of all the players that are banged up right now. But the biggest one was Saquon Barkley going down. And I think everybody's instant reaction to that was Devonta Freeman, right? Devonta Freeman's been available. He's kind of been rumored. He went and talked to the Jaguars, went to the Eagles and met with them, but hadn't really come up with any sort of deal. But this was the best case scenario. We knew he was looking for a spot to get touches. This is the best case scenario for him to go to New York. Now, what does that mean moving forward? And with today still being Tuesday, obviously a lot of people are going to be using waiver ads and stuff like that to have to pick him up. And is he the top waiver ad? I think on the surface, I would say yes, mainly because I don't think there's anybody that you could project from a long-term standpoint that's going to get all the touches. Do I think that he is going to command 70% of the touches in this backfield? No. I think 60% is probably somewhere in the range of where he's going to come in. They still have Dion Lewis. I think it could still be a little bit more of a committee. So let's just go back and look at what did Devonta Freeman do last year. Obviously, this is a different change of scenery. Going from the Falcon offense, who's still one of the top 10 in the league, to the Giants is still a big hit into what he was, right? So let's just go back and look. Like I said, if you go back and look last year at Devonta Freeman, he still was a solid PPR back. He finished last year and 19th in fantasy points per game, averaged 14.1 fantasy points per game, had 70 targets, 59 receptions for 410 yards, also had 656 rushing yards on 184 carries. Not terrible, and somebody that you're picking up off the waivers, could be worse. So, he did have 6 total touchdowns last year. In terms of efficiency, he wasn't very good in the 14 games he played before he went down with injury. His true yard per carry was 3.5, which is 59th in the league. 41 evaded tackles was 28th. 16.9 juke rate was 44th. I mean, there's just not a lot to like here in the profile. He was 26th in yards created, 73rd in fantasy points per opportunity. So he wasn't great last year. We know that. There's some hope that maybe after, he suffered another injury last year, though, that maybe with some expanded time, that maybe he could be healthy now heading into this season, and we'll see. Now, playing for the Giants is obviously not a great situation. Why? Because if Saquon Barkley couldn't do anything, I don't know how we're going to expect Devonta Freeman to be able to really produce in this offense. Obviously, the Giants have had a couple of tough matchups. You go back and look, week 1, they played the Steelers have one of the best run defenses in all of football. We know this. They absolutely shut him down. I think Saquon ended up with 6 rushing yards. His day was saved that week because of all the pass catching work he saw. Go to last week, same thing. Wasn't a whole lot on the ground. Dion Lewis did score after Saquon Barkley went down on a short goal line carry. He did get into the end zone. But if you look at the Giants, one of the biggest issues with the Giants is the fact of their offensive line. Now, could it get better as the year go by? Yes, they have a lot of new pieces they added through the draft. And this, just to give this offensive line time to gel, it could get a little bit better. But right now, I mean, it looks historically bad. They are 32nd in adjusted line yards per Football Outsiders, 1.61 adjusted line yards. The next closest is San Francisco with 3.3. That is such a massive difference in the two. Unless this offensive line takes a huge step forward, like Devonta Freeman's best case scenario is going to be in PPR formats where he can catch a lot of passes because we know he is a capable pass catcher. The problem I have with that is still Dion Lewis there. I don't think you can project that Devonta Freeman is going to get all these touches. I think Dion Lewis still gets opportunity in this backfield and probably has carved himself out a little bit of a role here. So if Devonta Freeman's only going to be an early down back with some pass catching work mixed in, I think at best, y'all, you can look at Devonta Freeman as being a flex option. And obviously, if you were a Saquon owner hoping for something better, this isn't the best scenario. But with everything that's out there right now, you have Mike Davis. I think Jerick McKinnon certainly should be rostered in a lot of leagues. Should Devonta Freeman be the number one waiver round this week? Probably, because of based on opportunity and the opportunity he's going to get. But I would temper your expectations. I wouldn't expect this to be some league-winning type move. This is much more of a depth piece to probably get you through. You're going to have to keep working the waiver wire and everything, because obviously losing your number 2 overall pick is certainly not ideal, especially from that spot, because earlier pre-draft that was kind of the spot we didn't really love, because of the fact that once you got past that, you missed out on all those other likely running backs, right? Unless you really loaded up on depth, I think that's going to be the biggest problem. Is so you may have to look at taking one of your, if you have an area of strength, which is maybe, let's say it's wide receiver, you want wide receiver early or heavy, and you have 4 or 5 really solid wide receivers, maybe the path here is trading one of those, trying to get like a guy like James Robinson or something like that, somebody that you're not going to have to trade the house for, because then you're just creating another issue by doing so. So I think adding Devonta Freeman, should he be the number 1 waiver ad? Yes. How much FAAB would I look to spend? 20-25% maybe. Anything more than that, I think you're overpaying, just because I don't think this situation is still as ideal as people will lead you to believe. I think this situation is one, like I said, I think you can look at them as like a low-end RB2 flex option. Unless things change, this is kind of where I view them, especially with their offensive line troubles and everything else. If Saquon and Barkley can't run behind this line, there's no way 28-year-old Devonta Freeman can. So, and Devonta Freeman in his own right has his own injury history, that he's had trouble staying healthy. Has he been productive? Yes. When given opportunity, he has been opportunity, and he wasn't terrible last year. Like we mentioned, he was 19th in fantasy points per game, but that was due in large part because he got 70 targets. Is he going to see that here in New York? I don't think so. I think you're probably looking at somewhere in probably maybe 50 targets, which is still fine, which is where I have him. Where for me, I would much more view him as much more of a weekly flex option, not somebody you're just going to plug right into your starting lineup and feel great about. So if you have any questions, if you want to know maybe who you should drop for him to add, let me know. If you're not a Saquon Barkley owner and you have a lot of FAAB, or if you're somebody that, a Christian McCaffrey owner, because I know people are going to want to pick up Mike Davis and guys like that, leave your comments in the comment section below, and we will, talk probably more about this in upcoming shows. So anyways, thank you, and we'll see you all tonight. Peace.